Hey guys, this is NintendoJeff with another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle against my opponent, Crimson. Well, Crimson has a pretty good team, but one thing he has to learn is how the ability Magic Bounce works on Espeon. Basically, the way Magic Bounce works is any hazards or statuses that you try to put on Espeon, it just bounces them back on your opponent, and he didn't realize that during the battle, so we'll see how this goes. And I have 3 evolutions on this team, so half of them are evolutions, which shows how good they can be. So Crimson is issuing his challenge. I lead off with my Galvantula, because I want to sticky with him. But he leads off with his Ferrothorn, and I have a feeling he's going to set up rocks, or Leech Seed me, or do something. So I switch out, and I go into Espeon, and here's where the fun begins. He tries to put up a layer of spikes on my team, and I bounce them right back. He probably assumed that I didn't have anything to spin them away, so they'd be permanent, but I bounced them right back. So he goes out of Ferrothorn, and he goes into his Salamence, which this is a scary thing, especially if he gets up a Dragon Dance or something, so I reflect. And then I switch out right after, because I don't want to take this thing. I go into my Arcanine, which will intimidate him, and then I can Will-O-Wisp him next turn. So, he's now at -1, so Dragon Dance will put him up to neutral. And he Dragon Dances, so he's finally back up to neutral. But I have a little surprise for him. I have... he tries to Stone Edge me now because he's faster. And I Will-O-Wisp him, and this Salamence basically can hardly do anything. Because it's only at neutral, and it's burned now, so even 2 Dragon Dances will not do much. So he Dragon Dances again, and I think he's trying to make up for some of the lost attack on that burn. And I Flare Blitz him just to get as much damage as I can off, because I don't want this thing hanging around. And it's a critical hit, and I get some recoil damage, and his burn too. So that's a good amount of damage, and he Dragon Rushes me, and this will hardly do anything because of the Reflect. I have a defensive Arcanine, and he's burned, so I'm Morning Sun to get more HP back, and he's probably annoyed at this point. And so, he gets some more burn damage, and next turn I want to Extreme Speed him, and finally kill him, but he switches out into Aegislash, which is a pretty good switch. I don't know if it's good of him to stay in the next turn, which he does. It was good of him to switch in and not take damage from the Extreme Speed, but he stays in, and I Will-O-Wisp him. I thought he was special at this point because of how he stayed in, knowing that I had Will-O-Wisp, but he Swords Dances, so I see he's a physical set, so I'm like, why did you do that? But he basically doesn't hardly have any attacking power now that his Aegislash is burned, and I'm not worried about that Aegislash hardly at all. And right here, I used Flare Blitz, hoping he didn't King Shield, and he doesn't, so I get a really good amount of damage off, and it almost kills him. I take recoil damage, and his stance changes, and he goes for an Iron Head. I don't know why, because I resist that. I have to Reflect up, and he's burned. So, the Rocky Helmet takes him out too. So, I don't know if he was trying to sacrifice himself, or what. But, I go to... he goes into Alakazam, and at this point, I just want Extreme Speed to get some damage off, because that's my only form of priority on this team. He Focus Blasts me, and my Arcanine almost dies, so I know I gotta get out of there. He decides to get out of there too, and he goes into his Blissey. And so, his Blissey's hurt by the spikes, and I go out, and I go out into Espeon. And he actually gets more recovery from leftovers. But this turn, I go for Reflect. This is the turn. He Toxics me, trying to Toxic me, and I bounce it right back at him. And now his Blissey's toxic, so it's compromised. That was not a good turn for him. So he's starting to figure out kind of what Magic Bounce does. and I don't think he really likes it. Magic Bounce Espeon is great if you don't want a spinner. And I light screen just to get reflect and light screen up, and I'm holding the light clay, so they're up for a long time. He tries to T-wave me. I still don't think he gets the point of Magic Bounce. I don't know, but apparently not. And so he takes damage from the Toxic. I'm hoping this can rack up over time. And I just go for a Psychic to get more damage off. And he switches, bad switch for him, but he goes into Venusaur. Probably thinking I'm not going to do much, but I Psychic him. And that does a heck of a lot of damage. And he Megas, I guess, just to try to get some bulk. But it's definitely not going to be enough, because I'm going to Psychic him right here and take out that Mega Venusaur. So he faints, and yes. He goes into his Ferrothorn, and I think this is where the Star War comes up. He gets hurt by the spikes, but he withdraws. No, the Star War's later. But he goes out into his Alakazam, and I just Psychic for damage. And so I use Psychic, and it does a pretty good amount, and I know next turn I can take him out. He Focus Blasts me fighting. I don't know why. I guess it's the strongest move. But he hardly does anything because of my light screen, and Espeon has a pretty good special defense. And so I take him out with a Psychic, and then he goes out into his Blissey. And this is where a little bit of the stalling comes in, and I Psychic just to get more and more damage off on this thing, because I know it will take a lot of damage over time due to the Toxic. And he soft boils and gets all that health back. So I'm just hoping to stall him out. This point of the battle kind of might get a little stally, so I apologize. But I Psychic him, and he soft boils again. All I'm doing is wasting turns to get more, because toxic damage racks up over time, so I'm getting more toxic damage on him. And he goes for that, and I reflect at this point, just to get the reflect up, because it wore off. And then he goes for Healing Wish. I don't know what this does, but when I see what it does, I'm like, oh shoot, I'm in trouble. His Blissey faints. He basically sacrificed it to heal his Salamence. I'm thinking, oh, he's just gonna get health back, but his Healing Wish actually helps his burn. Which now, at this point, I'm, like, freaking out. So, I got my Galvantula. It's Focus Sash, so I'm hoping he either Dragon Dances or attacks me. So, I can Thunder Wave him. And he goes for Giga Impact. Usually, Galvantula's not that bulky, but with the Reflect, it took a Giga Impact with a pretty good amount. So, he has to recharge, and I get my Thunder Wave off. And so... And then I use Thunderbolt. And he tries to Dragon Rush me, but he misses this one. And I Thunderbolt. And there goes that Salamence. That is one thing out of the way that is really, really scary. And so he goes out into his Ferrothorn. And he gets hurt by more spikes damage. I Thunderbolt just to see what this does. I forget that it's like 4 times resisted, so... He Leech Seeds me, trying to get some of that extra health back. And he gets a little bit of Galvantula's health, but not a whole lot. I wanted the Sticky Web, but I know there's no point because this is the last Pokemon. So, I go into Espeon to bounce back anything. He tries Spikes, thinking I'm going to switch out more. And I just bounced them right back. I'm really starting to think that he doesn't really know how Magic Bounce works. But Magic Bounce is a really, 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 really good ability to have. Especially if you don't have a Rapid Spinner. Because then you don't have to worry about anything. I go for the Reflect. And this gets a little stally. Just a tad. And I even bounce back his Leech Seed. It still doesn't work. I don't know if he really got what Magic Bounce does. But that's what Magic Bounce does. It bounces any status or entry hazards back at your opponent. And it doesn't affect you at all. And he's just going up here trying to get defense to try and stall me out, I guess. And he goes for Stealth Rock again. I have no idea why, don't ask me. Maybe he was trying to die at this point, because he knows it's probably lost, so he goes for, I go for a Psychic. And I know next turn I can definitely kill him. He goes for Iron Defense. I'm guessing it's just for wasting. I don't think he has any attacking moves. Except for, and then Ferrothorn faints, and that is the end of the battle. So, if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll have more videos coming your way. I'm NintendoJeff, and you have a good day.